Hey guys, it's Bastian time. Welcome to Nintendo News. I'm your host Bastian. Let's get to that first story. Netflix has set up some interesting processes for disconnecting your service on your Wii U, and it involves the famous Konami Code. For those not familiar with the Konami Code, where have you been living under a rock? But you know, it's the up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, BA, start. I think that's it. If I said that wrong, correct me down in the comments. But anyways, if you go ahead and do that while you're in your Netflix application, then it will start up the process for disconnecting your Netflix account from your Wii U, so that's pretty cool. Speaking of the Wii U, there were tons of rumors before it was released that, in fact, Nintendo themselves, it wasn't necessarily rumors, but people thought, oh, of course, the Wii U will upscale the graphic quality of Wii games for the Wii U. But then Nintendo came forward and said, no, it's not going to, that's not really the case. But actually, it turns out it is the case. Now, while the native resolution isn't changed, the actual images are crisper and clearer, so I don't really know why Nintendo didn't, instead of saying, no, it's not going to do that, didn't say, well, what it is going to do is make them crisper and clearer. That would have been a better selling point, but anyways. So for those viewers who live down under, first of all, Godai might, and I promise I will never do that again, and also, you lucky sons of are getting a white 3DS XL. We, over here in the States, as you call it, are not getting a white 3DS XL. So, yeah, I see how it is. XSEED, who is an amazing publisher of all kinds of games, most notable now for The Last Story, which is the awesome Wii RPG that was created by the original creator of the Final Fantasy series. Anyways, XSEED has come forward and said, hey, did you know that actually The Last Story was our most successful title ever? Which is pretty amusing considering that Nintendo was originally not going to allow The Last Story to be released over here in America. It was only going to be in Japan and in Europe. Which is ridiculous, because anybody who looked at the footage from The Last Story could tell that it was an amazing game and that people would eat it up. So I have no idea why Nintendo was so against releasing it over here. And for those not really in the know, the actual creators of The Last Story had no say in the process because Nintendo was the publisher. So while Monolith Soft created the game, they're not actually the ones that can release it. It takes a third party, a publisher in a lot of cases, to then distribute that game and take over that process. Nintendo was that third-party distributor in Japan and in Europe, but said, nah, we're not going to release it in America. So then XSEED petitioned Nintendo and said, please let us release this, which was so simple for them to do. And they did, thank goodness, and I played it, and I love it. It's a great game. Also, now there is no longer the deluxe collector's edition, but you can buy a much less expensive regular version. So be sure to look into that. It is a great game. And I just love XSEED in general. They take it upon themselves to release a lot of games that would otherwise not be released over here in America. A lot of the East games that you've heard me talk about in games like Zelda episodes, a lot of the newer East games are released by XSEED, so they're a fantastic company, and give them lots of love by purchasing copies of The Last Story. But it sounds like you have already, because they say it's their most successful title so far, so that's awesome. And then our final story is about a group of fans who took it upon themselves to create a Facebook app for Nintendo Network. So that way, you can sort of type in your Nintendo Network ID and then find all of your friends whom you have in your Nintendo Network over on Facebook. that's pretty cool. So if you want to go ahead and find those Nintendo Network friends over on Facebook, there's a link for you for that app down below. That's it for this episode of Nintendo News. Tomorrow is the This Week in Zelda News. Saturday is This Week in Nintendo News. And then Sunday is a new Games Like Zelda episode, which is overdue. So stay tuned for that. Bye.